Hello, welcome to Lore Master's Lair. I'm your Lore Master, here today for another look to the Impossible Lands. We have taken a look at the four largest nations there, but we still have one nation which is much smaller and less known than the others. The nation of Bhopan. Let's get started. Not long ago, Bhopan was just a fairy tale. A location marked by one whose reputation for honesty was honestly not the best. However, in recent times, the Pathfinders have rediscovered the island nation. Ironic, since it was the Pathfinders who broke the nation's trust originally. Still, there is little interaction between the outside and the nation at this point, the government working hard to discourage travel beyond the shores for the time being. Bhopan, as a kingdom, once stretched across parts of Gurund, both the Impossible Lands and the Morgni Expanse. However, one day, an evil fae known as Quixel and his demi-plane of energy moved to conquer and destroy the nation. After a massive fight and much loss of life, the people of Bhopan managed to steal the artifact which granted him strength, the perennial crown, and locked Quixel away. But by then, Bhopan's population was only enough to fit on a single island, the furthest island east of the empire, and the furthest away from the Fae's prison. And so Bhopan was forgotten, until near the old capital, the four founding members of the Pathfinders carebound Quixel's prison, known as the Door of Seasons. The four were tempted by the voice, saying the door would only open when one remained alive. Instead of killing each other, they instead swore to leave the door until the day only one was still living, a vow now known as the Pact of the Open Road, one of the founding events of the Pathfinder Society. And so, the four left. But while the door was off limits, the mysteries of Bhopan still drew one of the four, and he kept up his research on a topic until he found clues Bhopan was not completely destroyed. And eventually, his search succeeded, and failed. Bhopan was not exactly happy to be found, and the Pathfinder lost his head, though his assistant and a princess of the nation fled to Nex, where they set up the Pathfinder stronghold known as the Nexus House, which is where, eventually, modern Pathfinders found the information on Bhopan. While the exact set of circumstances varies from tale to tale, the group of Pathfinders who visited resulted in the final destruction of Quixel, as well as some traitors among the people, and the claiming of the perennial crown. Now the nation's greatest fear gone, they now have to face that they cannot remain hidden any longer. Today, Bhopan works to build itself up, preparing to interact with the outside world for the first time in forever. The people of Bhopan have had a touch of Fae in their bloodline since the times that they were at the height of their power, and it has only grown in their isolation. While mostly human, and mostly of similar ancestral roots as the Morgni people, there are also a large amount of beastkin within their ranks. And while the enemy has long been Quixel, this has not ruined their relationship with the Fae, and there are few who live among them. Clothing is made from local plants and spider silk, and with primarily red, blue, and purple dyes. The style itself traces back to the Gurundi, while some evolution happens over the centuries. Their time under the thumb of Quixel has made many of them agnostic, not wanting to be ruled even by deities. What is seen is usually worship of Desna or the Green Faith, but shamanism is much more widespread. Artistically, people prefer performing arts to permanent fixtures, with the one exception being that every building in the nation is a work of art. Storytelling is one of the most revered forms of art, but it is dance which is needed for one to have any position in the court. The island is a monarchy, the lineage going back far before the original empire's collapse. Considering the small size of the empire, the entirety of every emperor's rule is meticulously recorded and preserved for future rulers. That said, over the years, the kingship has become more ceremonial. It has also been a tradition for a Grand Vizier to be appointed, one who is given the king's ear but is by oath unable to bring the king any harm. Though, as the last Vizier showed, there are loopholes. The Green Watch, the organization tasked with guarding the city and dealing with fae of all kinds, also has their fair share of authority and respect. The actual island itself is a tiny island in a wide, windless region between two currents in the Abari Ocean, a recipe which means that it can only be found by those who know it exists, and even at that point you still need a skilled captain to get there. Doubly so with the coast covered in both ocean mists and reefs ready to scuttle any ship getting too close. The island is also covered in fae magics, making traveling through it when you know what you are doing dangerous, much less new explorers. The outer jungles too of the island are filled to the brim with a variety of hazards, both natural and fae. As for the one city of Bhopan, Hobo Dokuza, it is formed with the people living on the shore of the Lake of Tears, while the castle sits in the center. One of the oldest and most noted buildings on the shore is the Bopatha Bakery, but it is the Eternal Bloom, the central palace building, which, with a different season design facing all four different directions, which is the heart of the nation, if not its stomach. And that is today's episode. We are almost done with the Possible Lands, only have the Mana Waste left to finish. Then maybe I can start filling in Avastan more before I start going to Tianxi. But regardless, next week we'll be looking at another entry in a long series of videos that I have been making. See you all next time.